Now, from the Weather Tracker TV Storm Studios, this is your weather tonight. Here's Chief Meteorologist William Cole.
All right, well, good Friday evening, everybody. Here we go now, coasting right on into the weekend. And of course, as we've been talking about throughout the afternoon, it's going to be a cold weekend. We had the fresh batch of Arctic air move into the area again earlier this morning, and temperatures have not moved a lot as we've gone through the afternoon. The other big piece of the forecast was some new data coming in today is beginning to paint the picture of at least an opportunity. I do want to emphasize opportunity of maybe some frozen precipitation as we get into parts of late Sunday and into early Monday morning. We do want to get you caught up with those details, then also talk about a very wet forecast as we go through next week as well. But first of all, your Friday evening, not just the evening planner here, but the late night planner. For those of you maybe staying out a little bit later this evening, temperatures through the 20s, wind chill factors in the teens, definitely dress for that. And again, we are completely dry as we go through the evening and the overnight. Speaking of completely dry, you can see that here on radar as well. North Texas, the southern plains, really all across our region, there's no precipitation whatsoever. And look at that front making its way well out into the Gulf of Mexico. In fact, it may even be approaching the tip of the Yucatan Peninsula down in Mexico. So, I mean, we've got a chilly air mass really across the entire area. The Arctic air not necessarily making it out over the Gulf, but again, there is still a real deal chill down even out in the Gulf currently with a northerly wind. You can see really the line of where the real Arctic air is, especially from the blues to the lighter shade of blues, then off to the northeast. The core of the Arctic air is off to our northeast. But again, if you've been outdoors at all today, you know, yes, it is definitely cold, and that is fresh Arctic air in place now heading into the weekend. Speaking of the weekend, again, for the rest of today, talking about your Friday evening, your Friday night, even talking about through Saturday, we're completely dry. Looking at the flow, there's nothing really coming in here. We just have the Arctic air settling into place. But I am watching our next approaching storm system that is now moving into the west coast of the United States. But it's one of several storm systems. This will be a more El Nino-like pattern as we get into next week. The only caveat to that is going to be, again, Sunday, very late Sunday, and then into Monday, while we're still trying to kind of scour out some of this Arctic air. Again, there is some data showing that, well, we may still be down around freezing, and because of that, there may be an opportunity of some frozen precipitation. Again, you can see Storm 1, Storm 2, Storm 3, maybe even Storm 4. Again, all of those basically lining up again as we go through next week. But I want to skip ahead in time. I want to talk about Sunday. This is a first look at some new high-res data that came in as we went through the afternoon. So I'm just going to go and play this. Again, this will be your Sunday and very early Monday morning. And again, you can see precipitation number 1 developing, but the data is going to put us right about 31 to 32. I mean, right on the cusp of being at or below freezing, and it's trying to paint the picture. You can see it right there of some freezing rain around the area. This may or may not happen. Again, if we're at 33, if we're at 34, this won't happen. We'll get some rain, but it won't be freezing rain. So the devil's in the details. We'll track that carefully as we go through the weekend. The other piece of that, it could cause some issues for the morning commute on Monday, but quickly as we go through Monday, we'll get above freezing. So this will not be a long-term issue with that. But again, we really need to watch, again, for that Monday morning time frame. Again, more on that over the weekend. Otherwise, as we go through next week, this is good news here. Look at these rainfall projections. 1, 2, maybe even 3 inches of rain in the backyard rain gauge by the time it's all said and done. But as we go through tonight, again, it's going to be bitterly cold. We've got teens in the north. Elsewhere, generally 20s around the area. And again, your wind chill factors will be in the single digits and the teens out the door tomorrow morning. So again, if you do have an early start for your Saturday, or you're just going to be out very late tonight, again, there are your wind chill factors. Take a look at that right there. So dangerously cold. You'll definitely want to make sure you're bundled up. And then as we go through tomorrow, Saturday, we're back above freezing, but just barely. You can see mostly mid-30s around the area, maybe a couple 40s off to the south. And then Saturday night, Sunday morning, similar story. We're basically in the mid-20s, cold. And then this will be the big question on Sunday, exactly what we're able to do with the temperatures, with that rain building in. Are we going to be above freezing, or could we be near or just below freezing? Obviously, that's a question we'll continue to try and answer through the weekend. Otherwise, again, rain, yes, in the forecast as we go through next week. Again, we're talking about only a liquid rain. More coming up.